Welcome to Growing Pains and Gains, the podcast where five lifelong friends navigating life across 3 states, Nebraska, Kansas, and Texas, share their real, raw, and often hilarious takes on everything under the sun. Join us as we embrace the growing pains and celebrate the gains that comes with life's journey.
Hey, everybody.
Hey. I'm Alex.
I'm Audra.
I'm Chelsea.
I'm Catherine.
And I'm Maria.
All right. So this week for our hot topic, we are talking about Kylie and Jason Kelsey's new baby. They just had a baby and it is their 4th child and they have all girls.
Mm-hmm.
They all have super cute names also, by the way, for anyone that doesn't know. Here, let's see. I have them. So the new baby's name is Finley Ann, but they're going to call her Finn.
And they're all boys' names, like boy-type names.
So cute.
Isn't one Wyatt?
Yes, Wyatt, Elizabeth, Elliot, Ray, and then Bennett, Llewellyn, plus Finley.
Oh,
so I was listening to her postpartum podcast, which, by the way, she had Finley on the podcast 2 days after she gave birth. 2 days. She'd only been home from the hospital for 24 hours, and the baby was like on her arm the whole time she was recording. It was crazy. But she said that there was like so much chatter about what are they going to name the baby? Like, of course, everyone knows that they have like boyish, type names. And I didn't even realize until she pointed out that all the first 3 girls have 2 T's in their name. So Wyatt, Elliot has 2 T's, and then Bennett. And now everyone is like in uproar because Finley does not have 2 T's.
Oh. What was the other name that they thought of? Okay, it was either between Finley or something, another boy
she
name.
said Colette. Colette and
and
Paul, the baby
Cole.
Cole. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's
So
really
Colette would
cute.
have had
That
2
is
T's.
cute. That's cute.
Yes.
I listened to the podcast too, and she's just so likable. We were talking about it, but she's just very authentic, and she's just unapologetically herself. But
Yes.
she's
Real and
funny.
raw.
Yes, she is, Maria. Yes, she is. And then Alex or Chelsea, I think it was you. We had also listened to one of the episodes where she kind of went on a rant, but she was very firm about. It was the labor plan, like how everybody has, a labor and
birth
delivery
plan.
plan, and it usually doesn't go the way you want it. Sometimes it does. But she was like adamant that it's your plan and it doesn't matter what other people's opinions are, which is 100% true. I totally agree on that. And then at the end, she was talking about, well, there's a lot of people who, epidural or no epidural. That was part of the debate. And she was like, I'm taking that needle in my spine, give me the epidural.
Yeah.
But then she was talking about how a C-section, just because you have a C-section, does not mean that you don't have give birth and have the whole labor experience.
People on TikTok are saying that it means you didn't actually give birth.
Yes, yes. And she did.
Because the human just stays inside of you, apparently.
Exactly. And she had vaginal births, but she said her mom had a C-section. And she was like, I was a 12-pound baby and my short little mom. She was like, you think she didn't feel that baby leaving her body?
Right.
But she, I really enjoyed hearing her. I hadn't listened to her podcast before, but it was really good.
I haven't listened to her yet.
Oh, you'll have
She's
to listen.
so good.
It's a good listen.
Yeah.
She's funny.
And I was telling the girls, like, I was super pumped when I saw that she was coming out with the podcast. And so I listened, like, the very first one that she dropped, like, the day that she released it. And I was super excited, but I didn't think that episode was very good. Like, I was kind of bored and I was surprised. And so then I was like, maybe this is just another, like, celebrity wife trying to get famous or whatever. So I just didn't listen again. And then when I listened to her postpartum episode, it was hilarious. I loved it the whole time. Like, she's so funny. And then I was thinking, that's not very nice of me to be judging her because our first episode, we didn't sound like we knew what we were doing. And now we got it.
We still don't.
I was going to say still don't too.
I know too. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yes. So I'm definitely going to go back and listen to more. I think she's recorded like 17 episodes now. So yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, she was hilarious, and I just really enjoyed listening to her. I'm going to start listening as well. She was, I saw she did one with Michelle Obama I want to listen to.
Oh,
Yeah. It was about raising teens in the White House.
Mhm.
wow,
I'd
that
love
would
to
be
hear that.
I read like
When are we
yeah.
going to be able to get Michelle Obama on our podcast?
We're working on it, Maria.
I bet Kelsey
Yeah.
or that Kylie's gonna ask us to be on hers next.
Because we talked
I'll
about
go
her.
ahead and DM her. I'll go ahead
We
and
should
DM her.
tag her. Maybe we could tag her, whenever we release the episode.
Great
Oh,
idea.
yeah.
Oh,
She'll
Maria will
respond.
be in her inboxes in no time.
Guys, I am known to DM.
Yes.
Go is.
So funny. Well, so part of why we picked Kylie Kelsey for the hot topic and how I mentioned that she had her newborn on her podcast that she was doing, like it's her job is the podcast, is because this week our topic is that we are going to discuss trying to grow your career and balancing your family life. So working 2 days postpartum is definitely a working mom. Probably wouldn't recommend it. I did not work after 2 days, but kudos to her. So anyway, we are going to go ahead and dive into that. So in the first episode, when we all introduced ourselves, that is one of the topics that I said that I would be talking about, that you'd be hearing from me. It's definitely something that has been a huge part of my life the last several years. I mean, I guess the last 8 years since I've been a mom. Um, and it's balancing the juggle between growing my career and kind of climbing the corporate ladder and being there for my family, for my kids, has just been something that has always been a struggle for me. Like, I feel like I've never been very good at trying to balance them. And if any of you listened to one of our previous episodes about Enneagrams, I felt like learning that I was an Enneagram 3, that Catherine and I both said we were a 3, and that one of the main traits is wanting to achieve success and setting goals and accomplishing goals. It kind of made me feel like, okay, like it's not just something that I like to do, like it's ingrained in me, like
It's
it's a
yeah, it's not
personality
yeah,
trait.
you don't have any choice.
Right. Because I had been feeling like really guilty. Like, why am I doing this? Like, why do I care so much about this? And I really, truly just think it's like part of my core. But so, it's always something that I've been focused on work and all of that. But 4 years ago, so really pretty much my daughter's entire life, I took on a leadership role. And ever since I've been in that role, I've just been like working 24/7. That's all I think about, whether I'm at work or, nights, weekends, holidays. I'm always thinking about work, thinking about what needs to get done. What more can I do? Like, how can we get more sales? How can we get more billing? Like, what can I do for the team? All this stuff. And it really has just taken a toll on my home life. I wouldn't say that my kids noticed it. I don't know. I don't think that they noticed it at first.
That's all they knew. That's all.
what I was gonna say,
Right.
that's just
Watchers know. That's
Yeah.
all they know.
Yeah. That's all that they knew. And I mean, kudos to my husband, because he is like a freaking saint. He literally picks up the slack every day, every week, and he doesn't complain. But he does tell me, like, you need to like stop worrying about this. Like, he gets upset whenever we take our annual trip without the kids and I'm still checking email. I'm still responding to messages on, Teams and everything. And he's like, can you please just put it down? And I just never really can. And so lately, my daughter, who she'll be 5 in a few months, she has started making comments about it. And because I'm like just so busy at work, I feel like my brain has like a million internet browser tabs open. I'm just like multitasking, doing a million different things, going from one thing to the next, one meeting to the next. And between meetings, somebody needs something, whether it's Teams, email, like it's just go, 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 go the entire day. And so once I get done, I just want to like collapse. Like, I'm just so tired. I basically want to eat dinner and just like lay down and, just kind of rest. And so I asked what I do a lot of the time. And so my daughter started making comments about like, why is mom always so sleepy after work? Why doesn't mom want to come play with me after work? Because she'll ask me to play and I will literally say, can we play in bed? Because I'm just too tired.
Aw.
And so once she started vocalizing it, then I realized that, like, number one, okay, maybe this is a problem. And number two, like, they are noticing it. My son's never said anything, but like, he's not as outspoken as my daughter. So I'm assuming he probably notices, but like, like you said, it's just all he knows. So maybe he didn't think anything of it. But both of the kids have always been like obsessed with my husband, and I feel like they're not obsessed with me as much. And maybe it's because he spends so much more time with them during the week because he's kind of the default parent after work and everything. So anyway, long story short, since that has been happening, I've decided that it's just too much. Like, while I was able to work my way up to where I wanted to be, professionally, like at what cost? It didn't really serve me. Yes, I was providing for my family and whatnot, but I don't want to wake up and the kids are in college and I'm like, damn, I really did nothing but think about work,
Right.
their whole childhood. And then what do I have to show for it? Like, I don't want that. And so it was a really difficult decision, but I decided that it was time to make a change. I've been with my company for 10 years. Like, my whole life has changed since I've been there. We were newlyweds. We didn't have any kids when I started. And now we have an 8-year-old and almost 5-year-old. So it was a huge decision, but I am going to take a step back. I'm going to go to a different company, and it's going to be less responsibility, less of a time commitment, way more work-life balance. Like, I told them numerous times, like, the only reason I'm making a change is because I need more work-life balance. I need more time with my kids. I need to be able to shut work off and spend time with them. They understand that. They're, all for it. And I'm really excited for all of the time to come with the kids. Like, I'm going to be off at noon on Fridays in the summer, and I'm going to take the kids to the pool every Friday. And I was trying to explain to my son about it, and he doesn't really understand what it means that I'm switching jobs, but he was excited when I told him we're going to get to go to the pool and everything. So anyway, it's going to be a huge change, and it was very difficult to make the decision because, like I said, I worked so hard to work my way up, and then I finally got there, and then now I'm deciding to
Now
kind of
what?
leave it all behind. I
Yeah.
know.
I'm so
But
excited for you, Alex. It's
Yeah,
going to
I'm
be
so
so
excited.
worth
I'm
it.
so
Your
proud of
life
Yeah,
is
you.
it'll
going
be
to
a
change for the best.
breath of
Thank
fresh
you.
air. And
Yeah.
soon, Alex, your summer Fridays will turn into a taxi cab.
What do you
That'll be
mean?
another,
Taking them everywhere?
you'll have to take them everywhere. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, I know. Well, and the thing is, I feel like there's only a couple more years where my 8-year-old's even gonna wanna spend a lot of time with me, and then he's gonna wanna hang out with his
No,
friends.
we'll always
So,
want to.
I don't know, I
He's a
hope
sweet
so.
boy.
I think I got more time with my daughter at least, but I already feel like I've missed out on so much that I've gotta make a change, and even though it is, at my core and a personality trait, I'm making, the conscious effort, the conscious decision, I need my family to be more important than work, and it just really hasn't
Good
been
for
the
you.
past several years, and I'm
Well,
doing it. So,
every Enneagram also has healthy and unhealthy.
yeah,
Like, you can have a
and
healthy
mine
version and unhealthy. So
went to
maybe
the
right now
unhealthy
it's just your
side.
unhealthy version. Yeah. You'll just be a healthy Enneagram.
Yes, because I still want to be successful, and I still want
Yeah.
to set goals and achieve goals in my new role, and I'm going to do all of that. I'm just going to be more mindful about not crossing that line and not have it be all consuming like it really is now. And also to say, nothing against my current company, they're not saying I need to do this. They're not telling me that I have to be checking my
Right.
emails when I'm on vacation, but it's just me feeling like if I don't do this, I'm not a good employee, or I'm not a good boss, or I can't let anything drop. And I'm putting it on myself. They're not doing that, but I just know as long as I'm in this role, I'm not going to be any different. So I've got to do something else, and I'm super excited for the change, even though it's bittersweet. But yeah, so that's my story,
I'm so
trying to
excited for you,
grow my
Alex.
career
It's gonna
and
be
balance family.
you deserve this change.
Yes, you
Thank
do.
you.
And
Yeah.
like you said, nothing against your previous company but
Yeah.
you just
Mhm.
need to break yourself away.
Yeah, and I mean 10 years is a long time, and I've grown so much, I've learned so much, and I think it's just time for a new chapter. And yeah,
Change
so
is a good thing. Change is
yeah.
a good thing.
Yeah, and I wanna keep learning and growing, and I'll just do that in a different setting, in a different role, and
Absolutely.
it's gonna be good. But yeah, Catherine, what about you? I know you're juggling a lot too.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, Alex and I are in very similar industries. And I have been with my company for 12 years, and my life now looks very different than it did a few years
You're
ago,
at
which
Red
we kind of
Lobster.
talked about in the last
Right.
episode. Um,
Mhm.
but I used to work in the office full time before COVID and the whole pandemic, and I would work from home maybe once a week or something like that. But I was in the office, and I spent a lot of time there. I would go to work, and then a lot of times, especially earlier in the week, I would go and work out and then come back to the office. I was just thinking back on this, like 2016, 17, 18, 19, those years. I had the night security guard's number and like his work cell phone number. And so if I needed like an escort out to the parking garage, because I would be the only one left in the parking garage when I'd come back and work in the
Oh,
evening.
wow. Mhm.
And then the pandemic happened. And this was before I had babies. So I could work whenever I wanted, and the same, I was trying to build my career, and,
Right.
when it's sales and commissions based, the harder I worked, the more I worked, the more money I could make. So,
Mhm.
then the pandemic happened, and we all went to work, from home, which we all work from home now, 5 years later, and everything happened for a reason, everything lined up because in
Yep.
2020 is when I got pregnant with my son, and we were already working from home. So, one, just being able to be comfortable during both of my pregnancies, I never had to experience what it was like going to work, in an office
Mhm.
space or somewhere being pregnant. I could be
Yeah.
comfortable and just kinda, roll out of bed and start my day, and so I didn't have to go through what a lot of women have to go through, waking up every day, putting on their makeup, getting dressed, and going and working a full day in the office or on their feet or whatever their job is being pregnant. And then I
Mhm.
also, when both of my children were born, I took 6 weeks off full time and then took another 6, like, part-time, and I just kind of worked when I felt like it. I didn't have a set schedule.
Mhm.
So and I was able to keep them at home, and then both of them stayed home with me until they started, in their school where they're at now.
Mhm.
And so I never had to do what most women do and put their kids in daycare and or, have
Yeah.
a sitter and go back and, have that hard feeling of, "Oh my gosh, I don't wanna leave my 3-month-old baby," or if they had to take, more or less or however long for
Mhm.
maternity leave. And so that was such a
Yeah.
blessing for me. I never had that having to leave my baby. I didn't have to experience that. And I'm so thankful for my job. I'm so thankful for the flexibility, and our CEO, we're a woman minority-owned business, and she has 4 kids, so she's, done both, and
Right.
she understands. So she kind of it starts with her, and
Mhm.
goes down from there, but everybody knows, family comes first, and family is important. And now both of my babies are in school full-time. They go Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Gary takes them to school, and then I pick them up at 5. But I'll come back home, and then he takes over so I can come back in my office and, anything that I missed during that 30 minutes of picking them up, get caught up on and really finish out my day. And then I can spend the whole evening with them. There's no commuting because it would take me an hour in Dallas traffic from where we live now to get to and from the office, so there's none of that.
Yeah.
I spend the whole
Mhm.
evening with them, then I put them to bed, and if I have stuff I wanna work in, I go down the hall and come back in my office
Right.
and finish whatever I need to work on, and I don't feel like it takes away from them, whereas it would if I was still in the office full time and having that,
Sure.
commuting time because, like I said, it's an hour in Dallas traffic, and
Mhm.
then by the time I would get home from work every day, I miss out that time from them.
Yeah.
So I'm super thankful for that. Very thankful for the flexibility. We just started doing, and it's not every month, but having like an in-office work day, and it's optional, but
Mm.
they'll go and they get breakfast and lunch for us, and it's just fun. I feel like I don't get that much done because I see my coworkers that I love. A lot
That
of
is
us have been
fun
there
to
for
be
a
had.
very long time.
Yeah.
So I don't get a lot done, but it's enjoyable and it's fun. But I just feel like I was really fortunate in where a lot of women didn't have, that flexibility during their
Mhm.
pregnancies and the newborn stage. So I'm very, very thankful for that.
Yeah. Was it hard though trying to work when they were at home, or how
N-
was that?
no, surprisingly, no.
That's good.
I pretty much schedule my own meetings. Well, and I switched roles too. So when Cinco was a newborn, I was in more of a recruiting role, which I still do recruiting, but now I do account management. So it would have been a lot harder. Cinco
Mm.
was a more demanding baby, more needy, I
Mhm.
guess you would say.
Yeah.
Nova's Miss Independent. She's always been so easy, and she would take 2 really long naps, like 2 2.5 hour naps. So she was asleep a lot during the day,
Half of
honestly.
your workday.
And
Yeah.
and she was so easy, like, very, very easy.
Nice.
So it wasn't hard, no, I was able to manage it and just kind of schedule my meetings,
Yeah.
as needed. But and
That's
then
good.
there were times when, Gary would be home, at least 2 days out of the week when he'd be home scheduling his day, and then he'd be, on the road working the other days. So it all worked out really, really well. Now there
Nice.
is no way that if they were home from school, I would be able to get anything done at the ages they're at now. In
Yeah.
fact, like most of the days that their school is closed, their school is not closed often. But when they are, I'm usually off of work. But the one day that we don't have a holiday that their school is closed is Juneteenth. So I take that day off and just spend with
Right.
them because I would get nothing done.
Right.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. What about growing your business now too?
Yeah. So and I could relate to that when you were talking about Jordan and really stepping it up. And that's one
Yeah.
thing when I decided to really get serious about my mindset coaching business. Gary told me, he's like, whatever you need, like with the kids, he's like, I got it. He was like, just go do
Oh.
your thing. And so when I
Mhm.
have meetings with clients in the evenings or on weekends, he goes full dad mode and, make sure to keep them occupied and busy. And
Nice.
then a lot of things, again, I'll do at night after I put them to bed if there's stuff I need to work on and prepare for. So I
Yeah.
spend a lot of time in my office, which is why I revamped it. I have a new office set up now,
Ooh.
just because I feel like if as much as I'm in here, if I'm in
Right.
here and I don't just work 40 hours a week with my current job. It's like I told you, I will with my corporate job. I come in here at night and, if I'm working 50 hours a week for my corporate job and then,
Right.
10 hours a week or however long with my business that I'm growing, I'm in here a lot. So
Right.
I have a
Yeah.
nice setup now. So I got this
Got your
really cool
plant.
new, yes, my plants. I have an orchid and I have this other wonderful plant you see back here. And then I got what is it, essential oil diffuser?
Oh,
Yeah, I just recently
okay.
added that. So,
I'm gonna have to send you
Nice.
this really good oil that smells so good.
oh,
It's such
please
a
do.
spring good smell. Yeah. We can link it on the
Okay,
on the
yeah,
show
send it
notes
to me
too.
too because I'm gonna do a whole revamp of my office.
Yes, because you're going to be working from home 100%
Yes,
now.
yes, because right now I'm hybrid and I do still go into the office and I just never other than this bookcase, which is boring, there's nothing else in here, and Jordan's getting me, like, monitors and all kinds of stuff, so it's gonna look all different in here in a couple weeks. You guys just stay tuned.
You'll have to give us a
We need a before and after. I don't think I have a
Oh,
before of my
okay.
old office, but it was like so crammed. And now I have this awesome corner desk. So I have like my work and corporate laptop over here, and then like my personal laptop over here.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice. And it's so much more open now that I did the corner desk. Yeah. I got that Peloton out of here.
I wanna get, like, a walking pad thing underneath my desk.
Oh, you should.
Yes, so I
like a
stand up
standing
more.
desk.
Well, my desk is like the builders built it in, so, like, I can't stand it up, but, it's already fairly high, but you can get those, like, riser.
One that you could set. Yeah.
Yeah, like, so I can just, like, put my laptop on it and the, keyboard on it and stuff, and I can stand it up, so I think I'm just gonna do that, but yes, anyway. Okay, Audra, tell us about growing your career and what it was like taking off for surgery and fill us all in.
All right. So, of course, I'm the single one. I have no kids, and I really feel guilty for saying this, some of the stuff that I'm going to say, because I do not know how you ladies do it. Kids,
You just do.
You just
I
you have no choice.
I work well over 40 hours. I mean, I work, anywhere from 50 to 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but most of the time.
Mhm.
All I do is work. I don't know how I do it, but I just do it. Actually actually really like working, and that's my problem is I enjoy working. Um,
But
but
that's okay.
That's not a
That's not a
problem.
bad
Yeah,
problem to
that's
have.
okay.
It's a good thing
but
that
I
you
also
like it
don't
because if you
have
had to work that much and you didn't like it, that would be a problem.
Yeah.
be a
Yeah.
problem. But I also don't have kids to come home to or anyone to answer for, so I just come
Yep.
home and I don't have to worry about cooking dinner. I don't have
Yeah.
to worry about feeding anyone. I just do what I wanna do and usually ordering Uber Eats.
But for any single men listening to this,
Right.
once she's fully healed from her jaw surgery, we put her
Yep.
back on the market. So
Um,
Yes.
but I will say though, I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about, I've been at my career for 9 years now, or at my job for 9 years now,
Mhm.
It's crazy it's
and
been that long.
I
That's how long you've
know.
been in Houston?
uh huh,
Wow.
that's how long I've been. But I'm like, there has to be more to life than me just going to work every
Yeah.
day, doing it, coming home, sleeping, going to work, doing it, coming home, sleeping. There has to be more to life than that. You know,
Yeah.
I will say my work-life balance has gotten better, just over the last probably 3 years,
That's
where
good.
I actually have friends now here in Houston that I'm able to go out and be with them, and that's what I wanna do more than I wanna go to work. Or
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 Now it's just not all about work.
Now it's not all about work because I don't have anything else to do. I got things
Mhm.
Yeah.
to do outside of work.
And you got to go to your workout classes.
I know, I can't wait to start that back up.
Mhm.
But being off of work for my surgery, I'll say this.
Tell us,
First
girl. Give it to us.
the first week, I don't really remember much of anything.
Right.
I
Yeah.
was sleeping the whole time. I didn't realize I was sleeping, but
You
mom said
needed
I
to
was sleeping.
heal.
Yeah.
I was sleeping the whole time. But then Sunday came around and I got a zest of life in me. And I was ready to get back to work.
Mm.
Uh, I my mom left on Wednesday and I would go in the office maybe a couple hours a day, not very long. Uh,
Mm.
just
So
to
you
get
didn't take the full 2 weeks off because you were just itching to get back.
yes. But I would go in there for a couple hours, do some things. But then I got back to work full time this past Monday, and I don't know, maybe it was a little too soon to get back to work.
Yeah. Full time.
Having to have
Yeah.
your emotional support rag.
Yeah, some of my emotional support rag, and then I don't. It's like the more like in the mornings I'm really good, but
Mhm.
after lunch I
Bad.
real bad. It sounds like I'm drunk.
Oh,
Oh.
talk probably because your jaw just.
Yeah, it's probably, like, so sore.
It's
Are you
sore,
able
it
to like
hurts.
take it easy in the afternoons or do you still have to like meet with families and stuff?
Yeah, usually I am. I'm able to take it a little bit easier. I'm like, I'll just tell people I can't talk. Like I'm not talk. I mean, just like right now, like I feel like I'm slurring my words a little bit more than normal, or
I think
it's
it sounds
harder
okay.
for me to understand. Well, to me, it sounds like I'm
Mm.
listening a lot, but maybe.
Mm. I think you sound better than last week.
Oh,
Mhm.
really?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Mhm.
And I
Okay.
do gotta tell you, girl, for those of you that aren't watching the pod, Audrey, your skin looks so good from that Alavita.
It does.
It looks
It
so
does.
clear and
One more
good.
shout out to the Alavita.
Yep, and I
Yeah.
did go ahead and buy mine after last week's episode. I'm
Oh,
still waiting for it to come
good.
in, and then I'll
Also,
report back.
it probably looks good because I also stopped vaping too. So
Oh,
Yeah, I do
yeah.
think that's probably part of it. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, but Olavita though for the win.
For
And then if
sure.
you're watching this too, I do look a little gummy. Like I look like I don't have any teeth. But
I like when you do that, you bring your top lip up to
I
show
know.
your teeth.
I know.
Oh, that's so
Mm.
funny.
Yeah, that's my story about not having kids and working all the time.
Yeah.
Audrey, you have worked your way up too at your
Yeah.
at the funeral.
I have. I will say I became very successful at my job.
You really
So
have.
all them hours paid off.
All the hard work. I will say this, nothing was ever given to me. I had to work
Yeah.
really, really hard. A lot of sweat and a lot of tears went into it, and I'm really happy to say that I am where I'm at right now.
I'm
Awesome.
proud
Yeah.
of you.
Yes,
Yeah.
proud of you. Chelsea, what about you? Tell us
Well,
your
as
story.
so I'm a dental hygienist, as we've mentioned before. So, when Lucas and I met, I had been at my office. I worked in Emporia and I'd been there for, I don't know, I don't even know how long I was there. I shouldn't, 5 years, maybe 4,
Mhm.
almost. I was going on 5 years. And had we not met and had I not had to have moved for him being in the military, I know I would still be there. Like it was, I
Aw.
loved my office.
Mhm.
You
I was very
did.
comfortable there.
Yeah.
Never ever like dreaded Mondays. Like I just went to work and
Sunday
I loved
scary?
it.
Yep.
Yeah, never had them. So I remember, every time that I had to move with Lucas, it was always to another state. And so I always had to get licensed for that state. So that's a huge pain in the butt. And then I I moved I remember leaving Emporia and just crying and crying because I didn't want to leave and it was my dream
Aw.
job. And then I moved to Oklahoma and I had reached out to a rep a sales rep to see if there were any offices that he knew of that were hiring. And so he told me about one that was in a town that was like an hour away, and I started working there 2 days a week. No, I was there 3 days a week.
So you
And
drove an
I mean,
hour each way? I don't
yes.
remember that. Ugh,
Yeah.
that's awful.
Yeah, but it
Atlas? Was it Atlas?
Altus, yeah. And they were amazing though. And
Oh.
so it was even like they were like all young, like my age. They were old, like a couple years older than me, but the doctor, all women. I mean, it was just amazing. And they were all my friends and like it was great. And so I would call Catherine, we'd be on our commutes and talk on the phone. I'd call her and I'd say, hey Catherine, call me back because she had free I had free incoming calls and she had unlimited minutes.
I forgot all about that.
Oh
Yeah,
my
and
gosh.
That's how
so
old we are.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So
That's
she
so
would
funny.
call, we would talk, but I mean, I did that when I was pregnant with Campbell, and I remember sometimes getting home and like not remember like driving home because I was that tired. Like I was so tired. So,
Oh, dang.
and speaking of like being pregnant, working, like I remember when I was pregnant with Pruitt and getting up, Catherine, you talking about how you just could roll out of bed, sitting in my closet, like putting my makeup on, crying because I was so tired. So anyways, that just made me think of that when you said that earlier. But so yeah, so
Hold on,
it sucked
you
to have to
were
leave them. Huh?
you're putting your makeup on in the closet?
Well, I had like I had a
Oh, okay.
Good call out,
like
Audra. I didn't notice that.
I had like a standing mirror and I would sit there on the floor and put my makeup on.
Oh.
Okay. Okay.
Is that okay with you, Audra?
Not really, but go ahead. Go on.
So then we moved back to Kansas and so I didn't have to worry about getting a license here, but I worked on Fort Riley or no, I stayed home with Campbell for a while. And I remember like cuz there was no daycare in town. Like there was no openings for infants. So I stayed home with her for the first year. And I remember going to like an orientation at the daycare and the parents dropping the kids off and I was like so jealous because I wanted to not like I didn't want to be home with her. I wanted to be working. Like I wanted to be
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and be out and I couldn't. So
Mhm.
once she turned 1, she got a spot in daycare and I went back to work and I worked on Fort Riley and it was not that was not my dream job. So I worked there for a while and then I got a job at a public health center with my best friend from hygiene school. Loved it. Like it was amazing. We had so much fun. And then of course we got order and like I would be there still too. And all these offices except for Fort Riley, I would still be at. But we got orders to Virginia and like we had bought a house in Fort Riley. I really thought we were going to stay there until Lucas retired. And they called him to be a drill sergeant and he thought he had like a choice in the matter and he was like just let me do this. I promise if I do this I'll get out at 20 years. And I was like, "Fine, like do it." And I was so sad and but it was the best thing for us.
You loved
I
Virginia.
absolutely
Yeah.
loved Virginia so much.
Mhm.
So I worked there. I was able to get the kids into daycare and I worked um full time for a hygienist is usually 4 days a week. So I worked there and then COVID hit and I stayed home. I didn't go back to work because our daycare closed and then I just wanted to stay home with them.
But didn't the office close for part of the time too?
It
Or
closed for like a month or 2, but when it opened back up, our daycare still wasn't open. And they didn't it was on post and so they didn't open unless you were like an essential worker or mission essential and I wasn't leaving them with just I didn't know anybody there and I
Yeah.
didn't like I wasn't leaving them with just some random person. So she was like, "I need you here in June." And I was like, "Okay, well my family comes first and I'm not just leaving them with anybody."
I forgot
Yeah.
about that too.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was such a blessing because I loved staying home with them and then once they started school, I went back to work 2 days a week. So, and I've been able to stay it's a corporate job, so I've been able to stay with that company. I'm transferring here or I was able to stay with the company and we're opening an office close to my house next month. So,
Awesome.
yeah. So it's just been lots of different jobs, but every one of them I've been very happy at and I've been pretty fortunate to, if I wouldn't have left, or if I would still be at the office, my first office, like, I don't think that I would know nearly as much as I know now. I've learned a lot,
True.
and everything, so, yeah.
And I think
So
I mean, even though I'm sure it was probably hard having to find a new job, like, every time that you moved, I feel like at least it was good that being a dental hygienist was something that, like,
Oh, yeah.
you could just pick up at another
Right.
office. Like, I feel like
It
there are
sucked
some jobs that would be so hard to
Mhm.
just transfer
It
from one place to the next.
Right, it definitely sucked having to get, like, licensed in each state,
Yeah.
but it wasn't, like, hard, it was just tedious, lots of
Yeah.
paperwork, lots of, fees here
Mhm.
that you'd have to fill out.
Well, now
Um
you're gonna be in Kansas for the
Yep.
the rest of the time you're
Mhm.
working.
Hey.
Yeah, so that's what it's been like for us, so and now,
Nice.
Lucas he, works from home, so we don't have to worry about daycare, so that's really nice.
Yeah. Awesome. Maria, what about you? Tell us your journey as a working mom.
Well, you all know that my number one goal was to be a mom.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so, actually, when I graduated from college, my degree was in marketing and advertising.
Mhm.
Um, and I still wanted to be a teacher because my main goal was to be a mom, and I didn't have that in me to like want to work up the corporate ladder.
Right.
Mhm.
Um, so when I moved to Nebraska, I worked at the hospital for a little bit and I was hired as their like marketing like coordinator, but really I was just like a glorified secretary. And so I remember
Yeah.
thinking, I am not going like in a town of 1200, what are you going to do with marketing and advertising?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I am not going to be a glorified secretary. Like, I'm not going to do that. And I was pregnant with Beckett. And so I went back and got my teaching certificate. And that going back and getting another undergrad was not easy being pregnant,
Yeah.
Mhm.
your mom.
Mhm.
Um, but I student taught out at Southern Valley, which is a school like 20 minutes from Alma. And it's a beautiful school. And I was just gonna go out there and student teach. And I was gonna then eventually thought I would come back to Alma. And um being out there, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with my principal and my coworkers. And I honestly, it was that commute for 20 minutes was the best thing. I was able
I
to
know, the commutes aren't bad at all,
yeah,
yeah.
no, great. Until I had the boys with me.
And then it wasn't
No
I got
longer
ever
to
that wind
peaceful.
down
no,
time.
nope, I got to enjoy that, me time for about 4 years, and then I had my oldest with me, and then eventually I had all 3 with me, and, that commute was not so lovely and relaxing, and that's when I realized, like, teaching first graders all day and then coming home to littles.
Yeah.
It's
I can't
exhausting, and
imagine.
there was no, like, me time, and as you guys know, I co-slept, like, I wanted my boys with me, and so there's
Mm.
literally no time to myself, and I never left them. I never would
Yeah.
go on, like, never would leave them overnight,
Mhm.
and it was it was emotionally and emotionally draining, like,
Yeah.
I don't, like,
Mhm.
didn't even think about it because I just that was just me, and now, like, where and now I'm teaching in Alma, and there's, like, a 2-minute commute, and the boys are older, and I'm not up at night with them. I'm not, like but it's still exhausting. There's never a break, like,
Yeah.
love, love, love that I'm on the same schedule as the boys. I get the best of both worlds. I get out of the house because I would go crazy staying at home.
Mhm.
And, like,
Mhm.
there's only so I'm not trying to diss on our small town. I love our small town, and I can't imagine raising our boys anywhere else, but there's
Mhm.
only so much you can do,
Right.
and I definitely would not be a happy person if I was not out of the house every day.
Mhm.
Um, so anyway, now that the boys are older, I have a whole slew of boys in my room, slew of boys, in my room after school, and boys are rambunctious. They're busy, they're loud. And so after I dismiss my students, I'm just ready for like a decompressor, like just want to breathe. And nope, they're in there. And I just keep telling myself, I'm gonna miss this. I love that they come in here. I have my boys' friends coming in and getting a pop or candy or whatever they want. And I'm just trying to like remember this time's going to pass. David and Carol did it at their house. I can do it. It'll be fine. But
it doesn't allow for much you time, which you need too.
Right. And I tell my husband that all the time. Like, you get to like go to work and have adult time and like go on your hour lunch break and be with other adults. And I love my co-teachers, and there's like 4 of us back in a little corner, and love all of them, but there's the 4 of us. And so like we do have each other to run over to each other's classrooms and talk, or like we'll eat lunch together, but it's still not the same because there's always somebody wanting something or needing something all the time.
Yeah.
But I will say, and I was like telling my husband this earlier this year, that, and I love teaching, but sometimes it's like, but what if I would have done something with marketing, or what I originally like went to school?
Well, and now that there are so many remote jobs, like you could totally do that remote, which you couldn't have back when you first graduated.
No, right. And as the boys are getting older, it's like, okay, I still love being on their schedule, but, and not that, don't get me wrong, I love teaching, but now that the boys are older, I feel like I do have more freedom. Like when I was little, like I wanted to be with them on all the time. Like, so that's why like teaching was the best of both worlds. Like I had summers off, I had, but now it's just, sometimes I just wonder, like, am I fulfilling like,
I can't see you being anything but a teacher. You're like the most perfect teacher.
Well, thank you. I don't know about that. But
There's a girl or a mom, I should say, that is her kids are in our kids' school, and she was a teacher for an elementary school teacher for a long time, and now she does like the marketing and social media stuff for a real estate company, and she says that she loves it and she would never go back. So it could happen, but it just depends.
I don't know. I do think I would really miss it, like in the back. But so like I do have to say, like when I like said we should do a podcast, like this really, like Derek even said, he's like, I noticed like this gives you something more than just
Oh.
So something as big or little as this did give me a little more in my cup.
Nice.
Yeah, I love Sundays when we record. I look forward to it.
I know.
Yes. Well, and another thing too, Maria, I know you said you went back to school when you were pregnant with Beckett, but then you went back to school again to get your master's. So you went back to school raising kids twice. So you're pretty much a badass.
It was, oh, well, I don't know about that. But
you already had like little free time, and you still.
Yes, you are. You better give yourself a pat on the back.
For sure. Yes. Yes. So, okay. Sorry, were you done?
Nope.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was just going to say, again, I know everyone doesn't love stats, but I just have a few little stats on working moms that I wanted to share before we get into our pains and gains. So in 2023, 74% of mothers with kids under 18, so basically kids that are not adults, were in the workforce. So 74% of moms with young kids are in the workforce. I feel like that's way more than I thought. Like that's a lot. That's 3/4 of all moms. So yeah, 74% are in the workforce, and 40% of the moms that are in the workforce either they're the sole provider for their kids, or they're the breadwinner of the family.
Wow.
Yeah, 40%. Wow. So that's a lot of responsibility. You're either paying all of the bills or the majority of the bills and still trying to juggle, being a working mom. And then also 87% of working moms feel guilty about how their job impacts their children, like in one way or another. 87%, like that's even crazy too. Only 13% don't have any guilt. That makes me feel a little more normal.
Well, and I was gonna say,
even
also, they don't say mom guilt for no reason.
Right. They
Right.
don't say
Like, it's a
dad
whole
guilt.
term, mom guilt. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
They don't say
even
dad guilt.
real quick, like even being on my kid's schedule, there's sometimes that it's just easier for Derek to stay home with them if they're sick.
Mm-hmm.
And I even feel guilty about that. Like,
Yeah.
I
Because they want
should,
their mom when they're sick.
yeah,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's not fair that society puts this stigma on working moms. Like, it is like you're supposed to just do it all. You're supposed to be like 100% good at your job and 100% good at, being a mom and,
When you think
all of that.
about 12 weeks and sending your baby to daycare, 12 weeks, like there's
Yeah.
so
They're
little.
still
And
so
talk about the
little.
mom guilt there. Oh, that was
Right. I know. Yeah, I had that with Anderson. Luckily with Foster, it was during COVID, so we were able to keep her home longer.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
remember crying, dropping Anderson
Oh.
off, and I didn't even feel like 100% certain on the daycare that we picked, but it was the only one
Oh, yeah.
that had an opening. And I'm just so glad that he was fine. But it
Oh,
is.
man, I forgot about that.
Me
I
too.
know. Yeah. So anyway, mom guilt's a real thing.
Wow.
Then 50% of working moms feel guilty about their time away from their children to meet the demands of work. So whether it's that they have to be in daycare or they are just away from them for whatever reason, meeting demands of work, they feel guilty about it. And then 52% of working moms cite lack of flexible work arrangements as their reason for either cutting back on their hours or leaving the workforce altogether because they just can't get it all done. I mean, doctor's appointments and all the things
Right.
that they have to do, like you have to have a job that's flexible. I mean, I'm in several different like mom groups on Facebook. Like I joined them when I was a new mom because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I thought it was super helpful at the time that people would say like, my kid has this rash. What do you think it is? Those kinds of things. But there are people all the time saying that like they are going to get fired because they had to call in sick because their kid had a fever. And it's like,
It's
well, what
so
are you
sad.
supposed to do? Like,
Right.
Right.
you can't
I
send your kid to daycare or
yeah.
school if they have a fever, but then you're
Yeah,
going to lose
for
your
these
job.
over
So then,
three for 24 hours, Lucas.
For those
saw a
that don't
meme one
know.
time, or I've
Are you
seen this
gonna
one
tell?
that says that being a working mom doesn't make you a bad mom, it makes you a bad employee.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I was in Junction City, that's when I worked 4 days a week, and they were little, like Pruitt was baby, and Campbell, was probably 2, and Pruitt had ear infections a lot, so he would get called home. But my boss, my hygiene manager, or my boss, was amazing, and she was like, "I get it. I was a mom. Go." Like, there was
Oh.
no question about it. And that's why one of the reasons why I've really liked working like corporate. I mean, that there wasn't like one doctor that was like relying on my
Right.
income. So
Yeah.
I've been pretty fortunate that way. But I remember when I first worked in Virginia, that boss, she was like, "Well, can't your husband stay home?" I'm like, "He probably could, but he's not going to. I'm going to." So
Yeah. And when Anderson was little, we were in the office 100% of the time. Like it wasn't an option to work remote. And
yeah.
so it would always stress me out. Like if he was sick or I needed to leave because then I had to take off work. And I had a male boss at the time and he had kids. So like he understood. But at the same time, I always still just kind of felt like he was,
Yeah.
I don't know, he didn't at the same time because he still wasn't the mom. And so it was way more of a challenge. And then when Foster was little, we went back into the office when she wasn't even 1 yet. It was March of 2021. So she was like 9 months. And when she first started daycare, she would get sick and I would have to go home. And I still could work from home then, but it was still just kind of new. So anyway, it was definitely an adjustment. But yeah, so mom guilt and having to leave the kids, working mom, it's all crazy.
Yeah.
But
I do have to say though, yes, we have mom guilt, but really sending our kids to daycare or school at a young age does so much for them. And I know we
Yeah.
feel guilty about it, but that social interaction that they get with others outside the home
yeah.
on a day-to-day basis is huge, huge.
Right. Yeah. They have learned a lot, and it's not
Yeah.
something that I would have been able to teach
Right.
them if
No,
I was home with them.
Like, you can tell a difference from students or kids who have never gotten to a daycare or a preschool and come
Mhm.
straight to kindergarten because their, like, social interactions with others is night and day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some don't even send them to preschool.
Yeah. So I guess that's a silver lining. Shouldn't feel guilty because
Absolutely,
it is
yes.
helping them.
Yes.
So anyway, okay, let's do our pains and gains. So I will kick us off. My pain for this week. So, like I mentioned at the beginning, I made the decision to go to a different job. I'm going to be leaving my current company. So, this week I started kind of trying to transition some things and get things off my desk, but it hasn't exactly gone according to plan. So, it was kind of more challenging than I expected this week. But by the end of this upcoming week, everything is going to be transitioned one way or another. So looking forward to just kind of getting everything wrapped up and moving on to the next chapter. So that was my pain. And then my gain for the week is that my oldest brother and two of our nephews, his sons, came down to visit. So my mom's birthday is next week. And I know in our last
He
episode,
likes to celebrate like
yeah,
you.
exactly. That's what I was going to say. In our last episode, we said that I celebrate all month long. Well, I 100% get that from my mom because she also celebrates hers all month long. So we celebrated a week early with them coming in town. So we saw them Friday night. We were at her house all day yesterday. Just let the cousins play. We didn't really do much. Just hung out. They have a hot tub, so everyone got in the hot tub and they all had fun doing that. We don't really get together all that often. We haven't seen them since Christmas, so it was nice to hang out. And yeah, it was a fun weekend. So that was my gain. What about you, Audra?
Well, my pain is car problems. There's nothing worse than car problems. Um,
Mhm.
I just hate it. I do not like it. It's the worst thing, especially being by myself and not knowing what's happening
Yeah.
with the car.
Right.
I don't know car talk. Uh, so so that's annoying. That's really annoying, but
Yeah,
thankfully
it's
I have my uncle here and my dad's always I talk to my dad all the time about it, so that's good.
Yeah.
So that sucked. But my gain for the week is that I noticed starting probably last Monday, my sleep has improved a
Oh,
hundred.
I bet.
Why is
It
it like better now than it was
Because
like
she
last
can
week?
breathe.
I
I
get
know,
breathe.
but it was already like better last week. Do you think it's even like better than it
Well,
was?
I think because my swelling's going down.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Going down, and I'm able
Nice.
like, I used to wake up every single day, every single morning at 3 o'clock in the morning. Does not matter. I would always wake up at that time.
Hmm.
But now I am sleeping until the alarm goes off. Ooh, kinda
Nice.
scary. I never done that before.
Kind of scary.
'Cause I usually would have an hour in bed just laying there, just watching my phone. Now I don't. I don't have that hour to myself anymore.
Well, you're getting better sleep, girl.
It is. Yes, yes.
That's great.
Yes, what about you, Chels?
My pain is just how freaking freezing cold it was yesterday. It
Yeah.
was so cold and windy and just miserable. And then my gain is that I made an appointment to renew my driver's license on Friday, and it was a appointment for 8:15, and I went in at I think it was 8:07, and I was out of there by 8:16.
Oh my
That's
god.
really
No.
impressive. I
That
have to
It
go
is so impressive. And I looked up, like, where it was, and this place had 5-star. It was, like, it's not a DMV, it's a driver's license center. So, um, I'm probably part of a DMV, but you know what I mean. Um, but anyways, so, they had 5 stars. I was like, "Okay, we'll see about that." Well, I give them 5 stars.
I was gonna say, did you leave them another 5-star review?
Well, they did have, like, QR codes to leave reviews, but I forgot to scan it, but I would've. So if
We need to go
anybody from
back.
the
We can
from the
tag
driver's
them in
license
this.
center is listening, I give you 5 stars.
Nice.
All right, Kat, what you got for us?
Well, I'll tell you mine in a second, but I had to get my driver's license renewed before my birthday because it was, had been 10 years. So I had to go in person. And so you can't do it online when it's been 10 years. Like I had to go get a new picture and everything. And I made my appointment 2 months in advance. And I went to the DMV in Dallas and I was there for 3 hours with an appointment.
Oh my God.
They didn't have 5 stars.
No, 0 stars. Would not
5 minus
recommend.
4.
Oh my God.
So pains and gains. My pain is kind of the same as Chelsea's. It rained here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then it was 40 degrees
depressing.
today. So I had to turn our heater back on. Thankfully, it's going to be
Jeez.
back in the 80s. Yeah, I know, but it's so hard when you go from 40 and then a couple days later.
Yes. My
Um,
allergies are flaring up just hearing that.
I know. And my gain from the week was last night when I was sending you guys my throwbacks.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that was great.
And for all of our podcasts,
Why don't you just meet me in the middle?
you guys will never see these videos, so don't text me and ask me.
Catherine was really feeling that song in every video.
In 2019, right?
Catherine, that must have been your favorite song because you were listening to it over and over again.
No, it was because it all happened one night when I had been out drinking and I heard that song. I was like, oh my God, this is a great song. So then I made sure it was played in every situation. And all those videos I sent you guys last night were in like a 30-day.
Oh, okay. That's so funny. We love them. We got a good kick out of it.
So hard when I was sending them to you guys. And I was like, I should be so ashamed, but I'm not.
Oh, they were great.
But it made me think. And then we had laughed earlier in the week about Maria, a little reunion, but I love you guys so much. And we laugh so hard and that's the benefit of having friends for, 30, 35 years.
Yes.
You can laugh about stories that happened over 20 years ago. Because Maria, we were laughing about high school stuff that had happened over 20 years ago that we're all remembering and bringing back details.
When was this?
We don't need to get into that, Maria.
Maria's like, I don't even remember.
It was when we were going back to something that had happened in high school, but we.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes.
But it was just how hard I was laughing in the group text. And it's just like, even though you all live so far apart, I mean, the closest one to me is Audra, and she's 5 hours, being in Houston. But when we talk every single day, it feels like I have you all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then last night I was laughing so hard sending you guys those videos from 2019.
Yeah. We loved it.
So that was my gain, just laughing with my girls in the group text. What about you, Maria?
I don't laugh harder with anybody else than I do with you girls.
Then in the group text, I literally laugh out loud. Like when I'm sending LOLs, I am LOLing.
Yeah.
And then I'll think about it. And then I'll go do something else and think about it and just laugh.
Yes.
When
we'll just think about things later.
I've been crying. That's my favorite. Catherine says that one.
I know.
And I literally am like, there are times where I'll have tears in my eyes and I'll just be like laying in the bed reading you the
and
messages.
I can just picture it.
And then it's the best when we're like laughing, crying, and then I can show Jordan what it is, and he's crying too. And I know Lucas is the same. I'm sure Derek probably is too. But it's so funny. Like they just get us and they know. But Jordan, the last one he was laughing, crying about was our reel of the cheering at Chelsea's. And he was like, there was nothing in her cup, but she was slamming it.
That was hilarious. Thank you for that.
I wish we could share the reel of car lunch.
No. We tried to make another fail and Chelsea won't let us post it. So now we got to do another one.
Oh my gosh. Our attempts at our reels are so ridiculous.
They're so funny though.
Okay, Maria, what are your pains and gains?
My pain is on Friday night. I was playing dodgeball with the boys and I was acting like I was real tough. And
you got
one
nailed,
of the boys got nailed in my hand. And I tried to block it and it broke my nail.
I know that hurt.
Ow.
Oh, and it just I can't even take the top nail off. The bottom part broke off, but I can't even take the nail off. Oh, it hurts so bad. And if it ever, I have a Band-Aid on it. If it ever gets
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's my pain. Yikes. Yeah.
Did you yell at them?
No, I didn't. The boys, it was Jagger thinks it was him. Cassidy thinks it was him, and they felt really bad, and they still
oh,
yes, I'm fine. It was me that I should not have been out there thinking I could really play dodgeball and bring some heat to them.
Yeah.
And my gain is today we kicked off baseball season and it was beautiful weather and it makes me get really excited for baseball. We'll be living at the field now until middle of July. But
Well, our pain was that you were 15 minutes late to getting this recording
I know.
started.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was really stressed. And then the reason why I was really kind of frustrated when I got on here was because the boys had gotten and started messing with all of my podcast stuff and my
Oh.
headphones are broken.
Oh.
Yeah, and they couldn't find the cord for the stuff. So maybe they were trying to do their own podcast.
They're trying to sabotage yours, maybe.
They're trying to be TikTok famous, but told them it's not going to work on the podcast with my podcast.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for the podcast you didn't know you needed. Now you know, so we hope you'll join us next week on Growing Pains and Gains, where we'll be discussing autism awareness and raising neurodivergent children. And we have a special guest host who will be joining me for the discussion.
Woo.
See you next week.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.